Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Martial Arts. My father Song Ke, Lingnan Valkyrie Leader. Crossing the world of martial arts and becoming the adopted son of Lingnan warlord Song Ke, the beginning is to reward the 7 limiting saber techniques of swallowing heaven and destroying earth. Heaven, earth, fire, ice, wind, mountains, sea. From then on, there was an additional terrifying swordsman in the martial arts world. With the sword in my hand, cut through all enemies in the world. A generation of legends began here. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Crosses through martial arts and becomes the son of Song Ke. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The land of Lingnan. There are not too many grievances and conflicts in the martial arts world here, it can be considered a pure land. The reason why this place is like this is because there is a Lingnan warlord named Song Quebec. Song Quebec. Lingnan Valve Master. A great master who possesses both martial arts and military skills. Sitting in the entire Lingnan region, even the current major imperial courts have to be polite to Song Quebec. It can be said that Song Ke is the king of Lingnan. With his reputation alone, he suppressed the entire martial arts world. At this point, in the backyard of the Song dynasty, a young man dressed in white, holding a long knife, looked at the wooden stake placed in front of him. Drink. The young man let out a cold shout. Boom. Step out with both feet. The long sword in hand struck down with a loud blow. Bang. The wooden stake shattered on the spot. Boom. Meanwhile, at the moment when the wooden stake shattered, a powerful aura erupted from the young man in white. A meridian in the body is opened, and a powerful force fills the whole body. It's been 3 years. After 3 years of hard work, I finally entered the day after tomorrow. After feeling the power in his body, Chen Chongqing opened his eyes and a smile filled his face. After traveling to this world for 3 years, he finally became a meridian that connected the 8 extraordinary meridians and entered the realm of postnatal cultivation. 3 years ago, Chen Chongqing was exploring the Kunlun Mountains and accidentally fell into a cliff because he must have died. However, what he didn't expect was that he didn't die, but instead traveled through it. The word time travel is not unfamiliar to him in the 21st century. When he fell, he accidentally killed a wealthy wolf and saved a young girl, who then took him home. Afterwards, he also learned that he had traveled to a world of martial arts. The girl who was unexpectedly saved by him was actually Song Yuji, the daughter of Song Ke, the leader of the Lingnan Sect, in his Tang Dynasty Twin Dragons Chronicles. Song Yuji is the daughter-in-law of one of the main characters in the Tang Dynasty's Double Dragons. And because he saved Song Yuji, Song Ke, after learning that he was an orphan, directly adopted him as his adopted son. For this identity, Chen Chongqing naturally accepts it. Song Quebec. That can be considered a top-tier presence in the world of martial arts. Being able to be his adopted son naturally provides absolute security for Chen Chongqing. In the days to come, Chen Chongqing naturally strives to cultivate. After all, I finally came to this world, and if I don't do something, it's naturally impossible. The world he is in is not a simple world, but a fusion of great martial arts. This is a world where the value of military power can be as high as a warrior's ability to defeat 1,000 soldiers, change the rise and fall of dynasties, and change the direction of the times. In the east, there is Emperor Yang Guanghuang, who is extremely amazing, and his boxing town covers all corners of the world. The legend of the nameless Sword of Heaven. Sword Saint Dugu is unparalleled. Yujin Mountain Manor Demon Yin Zhong. Murong Hua, the remnants of the demon sword clan Emperor Shi Tian, who has lived for 1,000 years. In short, this is a powerful world of martial arts. To be able to compete in such a martial world is not to waste one's journey. The levels of martial artists, from low to high, are postnatal, innate, master, great master, celestial, and legendary land immortal realm that transcend celestial beings. However, for thousands of years, no one has ever truly seen such a skilled land immortal, nor has anyone heard of it. However, the legend of land immortals has never ceased throughout history. Perhaps due to time travel, Chen Changxing's martial arts talent is still considered superior, and in 3 years, he reached the realm of postnatal cultivation. You should know that even Song Yuji practiced for a full 10 years before becoming an acquired martial artist. Ding! Congratulations to the master for successfully entering the martial arts world. The clock-in system is turned on. And just as Chen Changxing was happy to break through to the postnatal realm, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind. What? System. Chen Changxing couldn't help but tremble when he heard the sound in his mind. Lying trough. Golden finger. As a traveler, if you don't even know what the sound represents, can you still be considered a traveler? I don't know what benefits this system can bring me. Congratulations to the host for clocking in at the Nanling Mountain. Obtain the inheritance of mysterious knife techniques. The next moment. A torrent of memories appeared in his mind. After a moment, Chen Changxing opened his eyes, but his face was filled with surprise. Because he actually obtained the 7 limits knife technique. This is an ancient martial art that often appears in the Hong Kong anime series of Huang Yulang. Qi Yu was inspired by the powerful destructive power generated by natural disasters and thus created a set of earth-shattering swordsmanship known as the 7 limits. Each form possesses the infinite power of nature, with a majestic aura that shakes the world and dominates the sky. Coupled with the spirit of a tiger, it unleashes its power like a natural disaster, with all its vitality extinguished and the divine Buddha in awe. This. Chen Changxing's heart was constantly shaken. With such swordsmanship on one's body, may I ask who in the world can resist it? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Unfortunately, there was no reward for the Tiger Soul Blade. You are listening at novel full.audio. Ha ha ha. Chen Changxing was about to burst out laughing. But suddenly, he seemed to remember something and quickly checked the system's rewards again. Suddenly, the joy that had just risen in his heart was cut off in half. Unfortunately, there was no reward for the Tiger Soul Blade. Chen Changxing was dumbfounded. He still remembered in his heart that this 7 limits sword technique must be combined with the Tiger Soul Blade to unleash its maximum power. If other knives are used instead, although they can also be used, their power will be much smaller. This is also the reason why Chen Changxing is so excited. Not having all the treasures is like buying a cup of milk tea without someone giving you a straw. Although you can still drink it, it is always inconvenient. Oh, forget it, there's nothing perfect in this world. I'm too greedy. Chen Changxing shook his head and sighed. But despite that, in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. If both are in one's own hands, then in this world, I'm afraid I really have very few opponents. After a brief moment of unconsciousness, Chen Changxing's attention returned to the system. He won't forget that his biggest trump card is this mysterious system. With it, I have the confidence to compete with experts from all over the world. However, before that, he needs to figure out the usage of this system. System, what are your main functions? Chen Changxing asked. Suddenly, a cold voice rang in Chen Changxing's ear. Master, my main function is to clock in. The owner can go to the designated location to clock in and receive corresponding rewards by receiving the tasks I have posted. And the reward items will change accordingly with the difficulty of check that IN location. At present, there are no tasks available to claim. After listening to the system's words, Chen Changxing suddenly realized. So this is just a clock-in system. In his past life, he had read many online novels like this. Knowing that the difficulty of this check.in system is not high, just go to the corresponding location to check.in, and the rewards for check.in are still quite high. In this way, Chen Changxing's heart naturally began to look forward to the next task released by the system. If I could reward a tiger soul blade, that would be great. Thinking of this, Chen Changxing's heart was filled with excitement. Changxing brother, what's going on that makes you so happy? Suddenly, a sweet voice sounded behind Chen Changxing, adding a touch of joy to his already happy heart out of thin air. He quickly turned around and saw a sweet-looking girl walking towards him with a smile. Chen Changxing was about to say hello, but when the words reached his lips, the girl across from him suddenly froze, and then flew towards him with a slap. In a hurry, Chen Changxing couldn't see her figure clearly. This surprised him greatly, and he immediately held his breath, finally capturing the figure of the girl when there were still 3 feet left between the two. Without hesitation, Chen Changxing gave a full slap. Boom! There was a thunderous sound on the flat ground. The young girl fell to the ground with an indescribable joy and surprise on her face. Changxing brother, have you broken through to the realm of the day after tomorrow? Upon hearing this, a bitter smile immediately appeared on Chen Changxing's face, which was embarrassing to the ground. He knew that if it weren't for the girl keeping her hands, he might have fallen and eaten shit now. Suddenly, a glimmer of joy that had just risen from the breakthrough in his heart had dissipated. Alas! I originally wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect to be seen through at a glance. I'm afraid your current state has already broken through and the sky is full, right? Chen Changxing said with a helpless expression on his face. The girl smiled noncommittally and walked over obediently to take care of Chen Chang's clothes that had been thrown away due to the fight. She sweetly smiled and said, "Hee, Changxing brother, don't be discouraged. You are already amazing. I have never heard of breaking through to the acquired realm in 3 years before. If it weren't for my father's guidance since childhood, maybe I wouldn't be able to beat you now. I have to say, this little girl is really good at comforting people." Especially when she was tidying up her clothes, Chen Changxing's heart was only filled with love, where was there even a hint of disappointment. This made him unable to help but feel that Song Yuji is truly the most beloved character in the Twin Dragons of the Tang Dynasty. Who wouldn't love someone with such a personality? It seemed that Chen Changxing's fiery gaze was also felt, and Song Yuji's pretty face turned slightly red. She lowered her head and said, "Changxing brother, my dad asked you to come to the lobby. It seems that I have something to ask you for. My adoptive father is looking for me." Chen Changxing was shocked in his heart. Song Yuji's father, of course, was the great master who was stationed in the Lingnan region. Song was missing. What will happen if he finds himself? But no matter what, it's better to rush over first. After a little sorting, the two immediately rushed towards the lobby. From afar, Chen Changxing saw a man sitting in the main hall. The person sat like that, but around him, there was an invisible pressure that shook his heart and tiny beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. That person is none other than Song Yuji's father. Song Quebec. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. What is the Heavenly Sword? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Apart from the sword, there is nothing else. This is the martial arts of Song K, known as the Heavenly Sword. What is the Heavenly Blade? Although this knife has not yet been delivered, it gives people a feeling that it is like the judgment of the heavenly way on a person, making it impossible to resist. Even if Song K is not using his internal power at all now, it's the same. Before the breath comes out, the intention arrives first. Previously, Chen Changxing had not yet achieved martial arts skills and could not fully appreciate the invincible sword intent on Song K's body. Unexpectedly, after breaking through the realm now, his perception has become more sensitive, and Qin Changxing has been under even greater pressure. The intention of the sword exists between intentional and unintentional, which is the wonderful use of Song Kei's body intention mind technique. Well, Changxing, you have already broken through the acquired realm, that would be even better. Song Kei's realm is so brilliant. Song Yuji had to personally take action to confirm it, but he only saw it at a glance. You should know that it has only been 3 years since Qin Changxing joined his sect. Breaking through without any foundation in 3 years to the day after tomorrow is a rare genius, placed in any school or faction. Besides, you should know that when Qin Changxing was practicing martial arts, he had already missed the best time to lay a foundation. In contrast, his biological son is much worse off. Without waiting for Qin Changxing to answer, Song Kei's heart moved and his sword intent suddenly rushed towards Qin Changxing. If it were to be replaced by other recently broken through masters, I'm afraid that once they come into contact with this unparalleled sword intent, they will directly shake their minds and can only surrender. But Qin Changxing has just activated and comprehended the 7 limits of swallowing heaven and extinguishing earth sword technique. You should know that this sword technique was created by the ancient demon god Qiyu, following the 7 transformations in the natural celestial phenomena. The aura shook the world and dominated the sky, never under the heavenly sword of Song Quebec. I don't even want to. Qin Changxing held his right hand weakly, pulled it up and swung it out, instinctively breaking through the sea. Not retreating but advancing, actively welcoming the heavenly blade Song Quebec. The surging sword intent surged and surged in this sharpening hull. Good time. Song Kei's face showed surprise, he picked up a finger and gently pointed forward. Seemingly ordinary, in fact, I have already used 3 parts of my skills. The collision of sword energy swept through the lobby, shattering the tables and chairs together. Song Yuji learned martial arts from a young age and became a master before Qin Changxing. But at the moment of the collision, she could only turn around and fly out of the sharpening hull, not daring to directly wield her sword. It's not just a 1.1 move, it's fleeting. It seems that Changxing has already come into contact with the realm of Dao-E. Swinging the sleeves lightly, Song Kei pushed the flying sawdust away from his body. He lowered his hand to the back and nodded in satisfaction. I can train to your level in 3 years. It seems that you have been working hard to cultivate and have never relaxed for a moment. Is this the true strength of a master character? Taking 3 steps back and taking the opportunity to balance the surging qi and blood in his body, Qin Changxing closed his eyes and pondered for a moment before chuckling. I want to thank my adoptive father for nurturing me well. All right, stop flattering. Song Kei shook his head and chuckled lightly, waved his hand to stop Qin Changxing, and continued to ask. Changxing, do you know why I called you over today? As Qin Changxing got to the point, his expression straightened up and he shook his head gently. Yuji's younger sister only said that her adoptive father came to me for something, without telling me why. It's about Wudang anime. Sitting back in his original position, Song Kuo picked up his teacup, took a sip of the tea soup, and said slowly. The disciples of Wudang anime have agreed to have a martial arts competition in a month, and have specially invited me to come and witness it. Ame and Wudang are both top-notch sects in the martial arts world. There is also immortal Zhang Sanfeng in the Zhenwu Hall of Wudang. He has already participated in the creation of nature, and is an outstanding person in the Wuling. But I'm about to break through recently, so my father wants you to go. Yes, father. Without hesitation, Qin Changxing blurted out. It has been 3 years since he came to this world, and he has been practicing hard. He has not yet been exposed to the true appearance of the martial arts world. How could he not be curious? Now it's easy to break through the acquired realm and gain recognition from Song Quebec. I can barely be considered a master in the martial arts world, big and small. It's time to go out and take a look. Moreover, Yangguang's Emperor's ultimate fist, the nameless heavenly sword, the mighty dragon divine palm of the demon sword clan, and the innate vigorous chi. If I don't go and meet these world masters, wouldn't I have come to this world for nothing? And he knows the truth of reading 10,000 books and traveling 10,000 miles. Martial arts is the same, only by constantly competing and fighting with others, and honing each other, can one continuously improve. Otherwise, it's just a closed-door project, and the progress won't be too great. Song Jianwei nodded, and Chen Changxing's choice was not beyond his expectations. On the contrary, if Chen Changxing is only satisfied with his current comfortable life, he will really waste all his hard work in teaching. Since that's the case, I'll tell you what specific martial arts experts there are in the martial arts world today. Chen Changxing's body swayed slightly, but he had no time to listen carefully to what Song Ke was going to say, and all his thoughts were already in his mind. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Go to Wudang. You are listening at novel full.audio. A familiar, ding, sound. This system is not bad. I just activated a set of 7 limits knife techniques, and surprisingly, there are new tasks so soon. Chen Changxing thought to himself. And discovered check.in location. Wudang. Isn't this a coincidence? Chen Changxing became even happier. This check.in system is really considerate. I was about to go to Wudang Mountain, so I posted this task without any detours. After briefly introducing the situation in the martial arts world, Song Ke said to Chen Changxing as if he had thought of something. This is your first time on a long journey, and I will draw a group of capable personnel from the Valve to accompany you on the road. Before Song Ke finished speaking, Chen Changxing quickly shook his head. My adoptive father, this time the child wants to go to Wudang alone. The soldiers of Song dynasty were barely able to say that they were physically strong, and their martial arts were completely inferior to their own. And there is less than a month left until the martial arts competition in Wudang anime. Lingnan is located on the southeast coast, thousands of miles away from Wudang Mountain. Bringing them along would actually delay my itinerary. What you said also makes sense. Song Jianwei nodded and agreed. Originally, he only sent soldiers to help take care of Chen Changxing. However, upon careful consideration, Chen Changxing's martial arts skills are considered excellent in the martial arts world, and he actually does not encounter any danger. Moreover, proper honing also has certain benefits. The flowers that grow in the greenhouse are no more resilient than the grass that receives wind and rain in the wild. The next day, in the morning. At the entrance of Song Mansion. Chen Changxing, dressed in neat casual clothes, shook his head helplessly as he looked at the young girl in front of him with tearful eyes. I have been procrastinating at the door for most of an hour, and if it continues like this, time will be completely delayed. Changxing brother, Dad is really biased this time. He allowed you to go out and wander the world, but he left me at home alone. Song Yuji didn't care about these things. He twisted his small hands, which were as white as jade, and his lips were raised high. Silly girl. Chen Changxing scraped Song Yuji's pink nose with his hand and said with a smile. Please wait patiently for me at home. Next time, I will plead with my adoptive father and personally take you out. Really? Song Yuji immediately turned from crying to laughing, reaching out to hook Chen Changxing before feeling satisfied. But when she saw Chen Changxing turn over and get on the horse, she couldn't help but cry again, her hands clasped into horns and loudly reminded. Changxing brother, the martial arts world is dangerous. You need to be more careful outside. Chen Changxing waved his hand, his legs sandwiched between the horse's belly, and the horse's hooves gently ran towards the northwest direction. Although he did not travel far, these 3 years were enough for him to have a clear understanding of the geography near the Song dynasty. And now he is riding a good horse specially selected by the Song family. Lu Shumoyang. In just 3 days, we had already left the Lingnan boundary. I didn't expect the outside world to be like this. Chen Chongqing grabbed the reins, took a deep breath, and sighed. This world is not ordinary chaos. Not to mention this is still a world dominated by martial arts, with so many ambitious martial arts masters. In contrast, although Lingnan is located in a remote area, it is suppressed by Song warlords. The terrifying miasma that spread from the central plains was not as terrifying as imagined. On the contrary, it feels like a paradise of peaceful living and work. Sooner or later, I will raise troops to quell all of this. Chen Chongqing secretly swore. In The Twin Dragons of the Tang Dynasty, the Song dynasty had long been determined to conquer the world and achieve the goal of unifying the Yuan dynasty. Unfortunately, the timing was not right, and Lingnan was a bit too biased, to the extent that it was twice seized by Yang Jian, Li Yuan, and others. Finally, the bet was placed on the young commander Ko Zhong. Unexpectedly, Ko Zhong also failed to live up to his expectations and even took the initiative to surrender in a great situation. Song lacked both military skills and martial arts skills, but in the end, he chose the character lacking in his name. But since he has come to this world, he will never allow this situation to happen again. Of course, the top priority now is to rush to Wudang Mountain to complete the check that I N task. I don't know what reward the system will give me after this check. In is completed. Thinking to himself, he was about to ask passers-by how to get to Wudang Mountain. Chen Chongqing suddenly stopped his figure, his 5 fingers touching the handle of the knife at his waist, then slowly turned his horse's head and looked into the side. I just sighed about the injustice in the outside world and immediately fulfilled it. The air was filled with the unique sound of swords colliding with each other, as well as the murderous aura. Unlike what was imagined, it was not 2 people fighting against each other, but a group of people chasing a woman. Seeing Chen Chongqing suddenly appear, both sides were extremely surprised. The woman was wearing a veil, and Chen Chongqing couldn't see her exact appearance clearly. He only knew that her figure was graceful and charming, and she shouldn't be too old. I don't even know why they had to take action. This made Chen Chongqing extremely conflicted, whether or not to see the road ahead and lend a helping hand. You should know that not all the people being chased are bad people. Women are not necessarily weak women. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Cihang Jingzhai, Shifei Xian. You are listening at novel full.audio. Shifei Xian, hand over the Cihang sword classic, quickly, and we can spare you from dying. Chen Chongqing was pondering when he heard a sudden burst of high drinking among the group of people. A fat man with a detestable face licked his lips, his eyes fixed on the curvaceous figure of the veiled woman like a roller, and he chuckled lewdly. Otherwise, our brothers also really want to taste the taste of the fairies in Cihang Jingzhai, and what is the difference between them and the prostitutes in the kiln? What, is it Shifei Xian? Upon hearing this name, Chen Chongqing couldn't help but be slightly stunned. He originally thought that the other party was just an ordinary woman in the martial arts world, but he never expected it to be Shifei Xuan. You should know that Shifei Xian is the saint of Cihang Jingzhai. Martial arts, intelligence, appearance, and talent are all the top choices. Others may have 1 or 2 things that can rival her, but they are never as perfect as her. Among women of the same generation, only the witch Wan from the Yuelai sect can equal her in every aspect, without any distinction. Cihang Jingzhai has been thriving in recent years, with a faint momentum of becoming the leader of the righteous path. I didn't expect these people to be so bold, not to mention pursuing the saint of Cihang Jingzhai. Surprisingly, he even turned his mind to the town treasure of Cihang Jingzhai, the Cihang sword classic. It seems right. After releasing his sharp perception after breaking through the acquired realm, Chen Changxing stared at Xuan and couldn't help but nod secretly. The founder of the Cihang Jingzhai sect, DNI, once read the memoirs of the Demon Road and gained insights into the methods of breaking the void and practicing inner alchemy from the heavenly demon strategy. After combining my own learning and insights, I finally developed the techniques of Dao Tai and Death Pass, and finally created the miraculous work of Cihang Sword Classic. It is based on the martial arts in the Cihang Sword Classic and shares many similarities with the highest and deepest techniques of the Demon Sect. Pay special attention to spiritual cultivation. It's just that the two are one positive and one evil, one static and one moving, one collected and one released, completely opposite. Although Xuan was wearing a veil and couldn't see her specific appearance clearly, she just stood there with a hint of ethereal and refined imagery. It seems like a supernatural force that can transform the place into a fairyland holy land, and the dusty road is imbued with a sense of purity from the Holy Spirit due to her existence. It seems like the completion of the cultivation of the Cihang Sword Classic. Talking too much is useless, why waste your breath? Her fair palm, like a goose neck, rested on the colorful sky sword beside her waist. Even when scolding these evil thieves, Shifei still had a calm expression, carrying the noble and composed demeanor of a mortal fairy. The sound is ethereal, making one's mood clear. But in her heart, there was no such calmness. Cihang Jingzhai cultivates the sword of creation, but practices the path of entering the world. Only by entering the world first and then coming out can one achieve great mastery in swordsmanship. She is the saint of the compassionate navigation quiet studio. Once she has achieved success in her cultivation, she must go out and walk, gain experience, seek support for the real Dragon Emperor in the world, assist him in pacifying the world, and ascend to the throne. However, Shifei didn't expect her luck to be so bad this time. Just a few days after coming out of the school, she was being targeted and chased by someone. From the moment they asked for the Cihang Sword Classic, it was clear that these people had a plan in place. The strength allocation is also very targeted. Among the opponents, there are several who have the same postnatal cultivation as themselves. Even one innate expert led the way. It's too luxurious to deal with an acquired warrior. If it weren't for the infinite use of the Cihang Sword Classic and the fact that I had some kind of spiritual connection in my heart, I would probably have been unable to persist for a long time. Since that's the case, then don't blame us for being impolite. After killing you, I can still retrieve the secret from the corpse. As for Shifei's answer, it is not surprising that he is a natural expert as the leader. He didn't make a move either, his hands clasped in his sleeves, just giving a faint command to his subordinates. Kill. Everyone lowered their heads together and suddenly looked up. The murderous aura was so intense that it made the surrounding air a little colder. Shwa 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 shwa. Excited by the murderous aura, countless birds flapped their wings and flew up from the bushes on both sides. In broad daylight, the sky is clear and clear. A few big men actually teamed up to bully a woman. What a shame. The good and evil of both sides have been determined, and without hesitation, Chen Changxing lightly tapped his horse's belly with his heel, took a whiff of smoke and dust, and ran forward horizontally. Two front hooves were raised high, and Chen Changxing lightly pressed his left palm on the horse's head. The person took advantage of the situation and took off, landing in front of Shifei. White clothes fluttering, like a heavenly deity descending to earth. Speak shamelessly and seek your own death. Suddenly, a Chen Changxing was killed halfway. The innate expert was initially startled by instinct, but upon seeing Chen Changxing's youthful and excessive appearance, he just smiled. After feeling his imposing demeanor in more detail, the innate expert's shoulders relaxed and drooped, hissing loudly. I thought he was a master from somewhere, but he turned out to be just a small acquired martial artist. Just like you, if you dare to learn from others' heroes to save beauty, why don't you honestly go back and drink more milk for 2 more years before coming over? Begging for flowers. Please collect. Seeking support. Your support is the driving force behind the author's efforts to code characters. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Slaying Innate Masters. You are listening at novel full.audio. Young Master, these people are here to chat with Consort Xian. You don't need to. Shifei Xuan's eyes lit up first, then quickly dimmed again. The Cihang sword classic is skilled in spiritual perception, and Chen Changxing's cultivation naturally cannot be concealed from her. Although grateful to Chen Changxing for standing up, a small postnatal warrior, there is really nothing that can change here. It will only result in another innocent life being killed or injured in vain. Chen Changxing waved his hand and slowly turned around, blocking Shifei Xuan behind him and secretly adjusting his internal breathing. Looking at Chen Changxing's towering figure, Shifei Xuan's eyes flashed with a hint of brilliance, and she inexplicably developed countless confidence in him. Seeing Chen Changxing ignore him even after a small incident, the innate expert was furious. His gaze temporarily shifted away from Shifei Xuan, and the innate expert stared closely at Chen Changxing, with a low growl in his throat. Kill me. As the voice fell, 3 of his subordinates jumped out of the group. A tall man tilted his spear and strode towards him. As Chen Changxing approached a distance of 1 zhang, the man suddenly slowed down his speed. The waist and horse merged together, and the long spear swept through half an arc in the air, finally lifting it to the chest and level with the ground. Red tassels rolled over, and a lightning strike from the spear pierced into Chen Changxing's heart. On both sides of him, 2 others followed closely. One of them is an extremely rare rattling whip, usually wrapped around his waist. He shook it away in the wind, then coiled it up like a snake, bending and twisting towards Chen Changxing's ankle. Then, take advantage of the situation and pull. As for the third one, it's the chubby guy who was full of foul language just now. He didn't use any weapons either, just with his feet on the ground, he bypassed the gun-wielding man at the head, bared a pair of flesh palms, and suddenly lowered his body towards Chen Changxing's waist and ribs. The palm wind howled, and the strength was surprisingly impressive. The innate expert nodded in satisfaction. These 3 people, each of whom is an acquired expert, are even more difficult to cooperate with. Under the joint attack of the 3, even the martial artists who were even more skilled than them could only drink hatred on the spot. However, everything is useless. The pearl of rice also shines. Chen Changxing snorted coldly, and the long sword from his waist had already emerged from its sheath. He doesn't use any clever tricks either. It's just a simple move to sweep away 1,000 soldiers. However, with the support of the 7 major hates of swallowing the heavens and destroying the earth, it is still unstoppable. A snowy and bright sword swept out smoothly. Boom! A strong and fresh smell of blood permeated. In front of Chen Changxing, there is no complete human form. Fragments of clothing, weapons, and flesh splattered all over the ground. It's just a cut. Chen Changxing killed 3 masters whose cultivation level was not below his own. They didn't even have time to make the mournful cries before their death. This knife technique. Watching this stunning blow, the innate expert unconsciously straightened his body, and his hands had already been pulled out of his sleeves, naturally stretching out his posture. As an innate expert, he can kill 3 enemies with 1 move, and he can also achieve it. But you should know that Chen Changxing is just an acquired warrior. This kind of knife technique is unparalleled among the younger generation in the martial arts world. Shifei Xuan was the same, with her cherry lips open and her calm state shattered, her eyes shining brightly. She had no idea that the young hero she casually met would have such swordsmanship and martial arts skills. Due to the spiritual connection of the Cihang sword classic, she has a deeper understanding of the dominance in Chen Changxing's swordsmanship. The front is the territory of the Song family in Lingnan, and this kid is skilled in swordsmanship. Is it possible that he has something to do with the heavenly sword, Song Quebec? The innate master secretly guessed in his heart that Song Quan was a behemoth no weaker than Cihang Jingzhai and the forces behind them. If he provoked Song K again, it would be a big trouble. Thinking of this, he unconsciously left a bit of room in his mouth, not as arrogant as before. Kid, we are members of the Heavenly Demon Sect, and this time we are only here for Shifei Xian. If you are sensible, then. Before he could finish speaking, Chen Chongqing interrupted. So, are you the puppies of the Demon Sect? Then you're even more damn. As he spoke, Chen Chongqing lifted his knife and stepped up. Seeking death. The innate expert suddenly felt a chill on his face, bulging his whole body and pressing forward. Where is the difference between the two directional steps? He is just afraid of the Song clique, not really afraid of Chen Chongqing. Although Chen Chongqing's knife technique is powerful, innate experts will never lose to the day after tomorrow. By relying solely on one's own momentum, one can suppress the opponent and make them hesitant to take action. Breaking the sea. Chen Chongqing boldly drew his sword. It is still the breaking the sea style in the 7 limits of swallowing the sky and destroying the earth. Having the experience of facing Song K directly in the sharpening hall, Chen Chongqing became even more proficient this time, without any raw or stagnant feeling. You are still carrying the bloody aura of killing 3 people just now. The 7 limits of swallowing the heavens and destroying the earth are originally the sword techniques for killing. The blade light, like a tornado sweeping, plowed the ground into grooves. The innate expert's face changed greatly, and he wanted to use his skills to escape, but there was nowhere he could do it. The sword's aura hit the body and suddenly burst open. Broken head and limbs soaring into the sky. The innate expert who was once invincible has already died on the spot. Not much stronger than the first 3 postnatal warriors. Begging for flowers. Please collect. Seeking support. Your support is the driving force behind the author's efforts to code characters. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Yuelai Inn. You are listening at novel full.audio. This how could it be? Shifei Xian blinked her eyes and looked incredulously at Chen Chongqing, who turned around and came towards her. She felt that the cognition she had formed during the more than 10 years of Cihang Jingzhai had been completely shattered in Chen Chongqing. Is this young man really just an acquired cultivation? How could a mere acquired martial artist be so powerful? Especially with that stunning sword that resembled a god and a demon, it was able to slay the heavens in the future. When did such a young man appear in the land of Lingnan? Is it the son of Tian Dao Song Quebec? Lingnan is located in a remote area, and its martial arts style is far from strong. It is far from the place in the central plains where tigers hide and dragons are hidden, and there are many experts emerging. The true martial arts master is only Song Quebec. Like the innate expert who lost his life without even saying his name, Shifei Xuan immediately linked Chen Chongqing with Song Quebec. At this point, Chen Chongqing had already returned his sword to its sheath and walked back to her. Despite killing 4 people in a row, Chen Chongqing did not have any bloodstains on his body and remained in his dazzling white attire. Wrapping a strand of green silk behind her ear, Shifei Xuan lifted the veil and walked forward Yingying, bowing her hand to thank Chen Chongqing. If it weren't for the young Xia's help today, Fei Xian would have been harmed by those evil thieves. I haven't asked for your name yet. How beautiful. Chen Chongqing's eyes couldn't help but brighten. If Song Yuji is a neighbor girl, she is charming and charming. So Shifei Xian is like a tranquil orchid in an empty valley, and others can observe it from afar and not play with it. Truly worthy of being a saint carefully cultivated by Cihang Jingzhai. I, Chen Chongqing, have met Miss Shi. Chen Chongqing clasped his fists and bowed slightly to his senior consort Xian, speaking calmly and slowly. Chen. Shifei Xian furrowed her eyebrows slightly, revealing an unexpected expression. Perhaps she had guessed it wrong. Shifei Xuan directly spoke up to inquire. I don't know about young Xia Chen and Senior Song, who is known as the Heavenly Sword in the martial arts world. This is not a secret that cannot be seen, Chen Changxing answered calmly. To be honest, Miss Shi, that's Chen's adoptive father. My adoptive father. Shifei Xian was taken aback once again. In the martial arts world, he had never heard of Song Ke accepting an adopted son. However, she had no doubt that Chen Changxing was impersonating Song Ke's adopted son. Chen Changxing's swordsmanship is domineering and imposing, and only those with a calm mind can gradually develop this kind of sword intent. I absolutely disdain to engage in such behavior of pretending to be a villain. Moreover, throughout the Lingnan region, only the Tian Dao Song lacked a master of swordsmanship to teach such disciples. Is this young Xia Chen's first time wandering the rivers and lakes? Shifei Xuan spoke up and asked. In fact, she already had an answer in her heart. With the swordsmanship and martial arts skills that Chen Changxing just revealed, if he had already walked the martial arts world before, there would have been a place for him in the martial arts world long ago, and he would not have been so unknown. Not bad. Chen Changxing nodded and told Shifei Xuan the original story of Song Ke's request to observe the martial arts competition between disciples of Wudang anime. Wudang. After listening to Chen Changxing finish speaking, Shifei Xuan's elegant and refined face suddenly showed a joyful expression. The two of them have exactly the same route and can travel together. I wonder if Fei Xian can move forward with you, young hero. Shifei Xian's face lit up with joy, and she said with some embarrassment. Are you worried that those villains from the Demon Gate won't give up and will go back and forth? Chen Changxing smiled slightly and whistled to summon his mount over. Watching Shifei Xian return to her mount, and then she also flipped over and mounted her horse. Drive your horse towards the north. 3 days later. At sunset, the western mountains are shrouded in red clouds. Two people traveled together from Malaysia to a bustling town. Gently pull the reins to slow down the horse. Young Xia Chen, it's getting late. Let's go to the inn ahead and make a move. Shifei Xuan, who had put on her veil again, pointed to the one next to the official road ahead and turned her head to say to Chen Changxing. Shifei Xuan has more experience in the martial arts world than Chen Changxing, so Chen Changxing naturally won't refuse. Moreover, the inn and restaurant are a gathering place for wind and rain in all directions. By the way, I would like to inquire about any major events that have occurred in the martial arts world recently. Yuelai Inn. Chen Changxing looked up and unexpectedly saw the most common name in the world of martial arts. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Heaven, Earth, and Man, Green Dragon List. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Take good care of our horses, remember to use premium ingredients, and don't think of fooling around with hay and bran. Leaping lightly off the horse's back, Chen Changxing handed the reins to the shop assistant who nodded and bowed over, and casually handed out a small ingot of silver. The movements are smooth and skilled, like flowing clouds and racing water, and it is completely impossible to tell that he is a novice in the martial arts world. Find us another quiet private room. After a pause, Chen Changxing added. Even wearing a veil, Shifei Xuan's posture and temperament are still incredibly eye-catching. A place like an inn or a restaurant is a mix of good and bad, with a diverse range of education. Many are those inconspicuous guys, if she just sits in the lobby like this. Chen Changxing dares to guarantee that he will immediately attract the attention of those crazy bees and butterflies, causing trouble. Although he has not traveled through the world, similar plot segments are not unfamiliar to him. Shifei Xian nodded without any sadness or joy, and followed Chen Changxing into the unmanned elegant room. Happy, happy. Chen Chongqing drank a full glass of wine and slammed it heavily onto the mahogany 8 Immortals table. The burning sensation spread between the chest and lungs, indescribable pleasure. Cihang Jingzhai cultivates extraordinary martial arts and emphasizes self-cultivation. Therefore, Shifei Xian naturally does not drink with him. She picked up a few vegetables with chopsticks, and even though she took off her veil, she didn't eat either. She just raised the corners of her mouth slightly and looked at Chen Chongqing with a smile. As a result, Chen Chongqing felt a bit embarrassed when she saw him and didn't know what to say for a moment. An ambiguous atmosphere flows in the air. Just at this moment. Have you heard that Wuxia, who is ranked first on the Qinglong list, is about to break through her innate limitations and become a master? Suddenly, a loud sound came from the lobby downstairs, and it was clear to both of them. Chen Chongqing's mind moved slightly, consolidating his spirit and injecting internal energy into his ears. He naturally knows who Wuxia is. Wuxia is the son of Yuelai, Jiang Feng and Hua Yuenu. He was taken away by the two of them, inviting Moon and Lianxing, and was carefully nurtured from the beginning of his life. Over the past decade, Wuxia has been a true legend in the Flower Palace. At a young age, he is already one of the top figures among the younger generation in the martial arts world. Chen Chongqing didn't expect to make another breakthrough so quickly. However, what is that green dragon list? Chen Chongqing doesn't remember which martial arts novels he has read in his past life contain this thing. If you don't understand, ask. There happened to be a saint walking in the Cihang Jingzhai next to her. Miss Shi, do you know what the green dragon list they're talking about is? Chen Chongqing pointed his finger downstairs and asked. Don't you know, young Xia Chen? Shifei Xuan was somewhat surprised and asked Chen Chongqing in surprise. In her opinion, this common sense is almost known to 3-year-old children. Ah. Chen Chongqing scratched his head and said with some embarrassment. As you know, Miss Shi, I used to focus on practicing martial arts and rarely paid attention to this aspect. Recalling Chen Chongqing's fierce and unparalleled swordsmanship, Shifei Xian suddenly felt relieved. Only a character who puts all their thoughts on martial arts can cultivate such pure swordsmanship. Putting down her chopsticks, Shifei Xuan sat upright and spoke to Chen Chongqing. Originally, there was a mysterious figure named Bai Shaoxing in the martial arts world who once again created the organization Tianji Pavilion. Bai Shaoxing claims that everyone knows, everything knows, and he understands the mysteries of heaven. He himself doesn't seem to have much interest in becoming a top-notch expert, but he really enjoys digging into hidden information that is not well known. I especially like to arrange the order of people and things in the martial arts world. Among them, based solely on the level of martial arts, there are 3 rankings. Heaven, Earth, and Man. The heavenly list records the realm of heaven and humanity, including Emperor Shi Tian, Shao San Shao, and so on. Almost none of them are old monsters that have lived for hundreds or thousands of years and are almost indestructible. However, these people have lived for too long, and there are very few things in the world that can arouse their interest, and they rarely appear in the martial arts world. A true top-notch expert should actually look at the land list specifically featuring great masters. For example, the Heavenly Sword Song Ke, Wudang Zhang San Feng, the Heavenly Sword Wuming, and so on. As for the list of people, it naturally includes the figures of great masters and is also the backbone of the current martial arts world. Nie Feng, Bu Jingyun, Shimen Chui Xue, Duan Wang, etc. are all listed here. After Heaven, Earth, and Man, the most eye-catching one is the Green Dragon list. This list is somewhat unique, not only arranged according to the level of martial arts skills. And there is also a mandatory requirement to only register young talents under the age of 20. As soon as you get older, your name is automatically removed from the list. It is actually more appropriate to use the Hidden Dragon list to describe it. Of course, the list arranged by Tianji Pavilion is not just about martial arts masters. In addition, there are also lists of unparalleled colors, weapons, power, and so on. Although its ranking cannot be said to be without controversy, it is not much different from the fact. Being able to gain recognition from most martial arts figures, even those master-level experts. The top players on the list compete in martial arts, and the outcome is basically consistent with the ranking on the list. Miss Shi is so charming, I believe her name must be on the list of unparalleled beauties. Looking at Shifei's exquisitely beautiful face, Chen Changsheng had a sudden inspiration and spoke up. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Flower Picking Thieves. You are listening at novel full.audio. Shifei gently shook her head and did not answer his question. Cihang Jingzhai is devoted to practicing and comprehending the heavenly heart, and does not care about not being able to reach the ultimate rank. Chen Changsheng couldn't laugh happily, feeling even better than when he killed 4 people in a row a few days ago. I didn't expect there to be so many heroes and heroines in the world. This kind of world is what he yearns for, and it's not in vain for him to travel through it. Fighting against these people and winning is the greatest pleasure in life. Green Dragon List, right. Let's start with you first, Chen Changsheng murmured to himself, setting a small goal in his heart first. Looking at Chen Changsheng's proud and spirited appearance, Shifei couldn't help but secretly show appreciation in her eyes. For 100 years, Cihang Jingzhai has traveled around the world, always taking it as his responsibility to help the world and seek out the Ming Lord. There is naturally a set of perspectives and criteria for how to distinguish between English and female. In Shifei's view, Chen Changsheng now undoubtedly exudes the heroic spirit that only heroes with a broad mind can possess. Let's not talk about being flawless, they are not people we can interact with at all. Even if they break through and become masters, they have nothing to do with us. Everyone, let's be more realistic and take a look at what's happening around us. Another voice sounded, extremely loud, and then quickly sank, pretending to be a mysterious way. You should know, recently there has been a flower-picking thief running from somewhere, and many young girls in the city have been harmed by that guy. However, these cases were too tragic, and the government was afraid of spreading the chaos on the market, so they forcibly suppressed them at this point. The speaker let out a disgusted as if mentioning these things alone made him extremely nauseous. My good brother who works in the yamen told me that none of those girls survived, and their fate was even more sinister. They were sucked dry by life and turned into zombies. I don't know what kind of evil martial arts the flower picker is practicing. Chen Changsheng and Shifei exchanged a glance and secretly remembered. It is difficult not to associate this lewd and malicious technique with that of a demon sect. Changsheng, do you think we should? Shifei lightly tapped the table with her fingers and said in a clear voice. The title has unconsciously changed from young hero to a noticeably closer Changsheng. Chen Changsheng nodded heavily, and he naturally understood Shifei's concerns. And he learned martial arts all over, originally intending to uphold chivalry and righteousness. Such scumbags will be punished by everyone. Even if it's not done by the demon gate, it must be eradicated. Determined in their hearts, the two stopped chatting and unconsciously accelerated their dining pace. Enter the room early to study, gather energy, and wait for the arrival of the evening. On the midday of the month, the pale blue moonlight spreads like water. The people in the towns have long fallen into sweet and dark dreams. All sounds are silent. Only dong dong, dong, the sound of fast and slow bangs accompanied by the hoarse and elderly watchman's slogans of 3 shifts at midnight, safe and sound echoing in the streets and alleys. 2 figures flicked lightly and gracefully appeared at the top of the inn. Chen Changsheng looked up at the moon in the sky. There shouldn't be much difference in the moons across the world, but in his opinion, today's moonlight is particularly moving. Chen Changsheng looked at the moon, while Shifei was observing Chen Changsheng. The Cihang Jingzhai is full of women, and Shifei Xian has never seen a man since she was young. Even though I have walked in the martial arts world a few times, I still maintain my integrity. I haven't had much interaction with other men, at best, I just greeted them point. Of course, it is also because these men are either greedy or profit-seeking, and their thoughts and pursuits are vulgar and unbearable. After spending these days together, Chen Changxing is different. Not only is his pursuit of martial arts extremely firm, but he also has the ambition to help the world, which has secretly attracted the attention of Shifei Xuan. Young Xia Chen. Shifei Xian's face darkened as she looked at Chen Changxing with a serious expression, wanting to say something. The sound came to a sudden halt. The two of them woke up in shock and looked together towards a certain place. Fingers had already taken a step ahead of sight, reaching towards the sword at the waist. A strange aura appeared in their perception. With a strong momentum, it is already a rare expert in this town. Following, a person appeared in the field of vision. Or rather, two people. A man, wrapped in a black nightgown, was crouching high and low on the ridge of the roof. Although carrying a famous and slender young girl on his shoulders, his body movements were not affected by any lightness or agility. Chase. The target appeared in front of him, and Chen Changxing and Shifei Xuan naturally wouldn't let it go. They quickly jumped down from the top of the inn and followed closely behind. The flower picker has excellent lightness skills and is particularly familiar with the nearby geography. Unfortunately, both Chen Changxing and Shifei Xuan have excellent inheritances, and they will never be inferior to him. One in front and two behind. Quickly brought the distance closer to several meters in length. At this point, the three of them had already left the town and arrived in the suburbs. There are no residential or commercial buildings, only a dilapidated temple that has been abandoned for a long time stands alone by the road. Seeing the dilapidated temple, the flower picker's spirit suddenly perked up and their speed suddenly accelerated. He didn't climb over the wall either, he ran straight into the temple door. Place the unconscious girl in the main hall, and the flower picker turns around, standing solemnly and cheering. Both of you, I've followed you all the way here. It's time to show up and meet you. Begging for flowers. Please collect. Seeking support. Your support is the driving force behind the author's efforts to code characters. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. One of the 10 Great Demon Gates, Blood Demon Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's obvious. When this flower picker was already inside the city, he had already noticed that Chen Changxing and Shifei Xuan were following him, so he specifically led them to the dilapidated temple outside the city. This is the battlefield he deliberately chose. After all, there are many Jianghu people who have passed by in the city. If you take action in the city, it is easy to alarm other experts who may take action. People shout and beat flower pickers like him. Even if he claims to have excellent martial arts skills, once he falls into a siege, he may not be able to retreat unscathed. But here, there's no need to worry at all. The flower picker burst into laughter, and the previously hidden aura burst out completely. Mid-congenital period. Feeling the aura of the flower picker, Chen Changxing was slightly surprised and knew that today's situation was not so easy to solve. Judging from the appearance of this flower picker, he is just an ordinary-looking middle-aged man. I didn't expect his aura to be even stronger than the innate expert who died under his knife a few days ago. Surprisingly, it is already at the mid-congenital level. Very good, very good. I didn't expect to come across such a top-notch cauldron even when I was just out hunting today. The flower picker didn't even glance at Chen Changxing, just stared straight at Shifei Xuan, wishing to swallow her whole body, including her belt bones. In fact, he also planned this way. Having drained your entire body of essence and blood, our blood demon technique, is sure to break through and advance. Blood Demon Dharma, you are a member of the Blood Demon Sect. Upon hearing the middle-aged man's words, Shifei forcefully drew her sword and unsheathed it, and her once beautiful and dusty face suddenly became angry. Under the Demon Gate, there are 10 major demon gates according to different cultivation techniques and concepts. Among them, the Blood Demon Sect is the most notorious one. The other few, although cruel and violent, still have a certain bottom line and will not indiscriminately kill innocent people. But the Blood Demon Sect relies on bloodsucking to practice, constantly killing and harming lives from the beginning. Behind every expert of the Blood Demon Sect is a sea of corpses and blood, with countless innocent people's lives unknown. The flower picker in front of me is able to practice until the mid-innate stage, with at least hundreds of young girls' blood on his hands. Cihang Jingzhai is the leader of the righteous path. How can Shifei endure it? Even if she were to burn both jade and stone, she would definitely kill this evil thief. Evil thieves die. Lotus feet lightly, Shifei has already wielded the colorful sky sword and charged towards this expert of the Blood Demon Sect. The long sword pointed horizontally, and the dreamlike sword energy surged forward, like the silent surging of a river. Sword Qi Yangtze River. The Cihang Sword Classic is based on the 5 key principles of Qi governs spirit and mind. They are, Sword Qi Yangtze River, Sword dominates heaven and earth, Sword Spirit Universe, Sword God without me, and Sword Heart Clear. Sword Qi of the Yangtze River is the foundation for beginners, and Shifei has been practicing continuously since she started. I have already practiced this sword energy on the Yangtze River to perfection. Just Shifei's cultivation level is only the day after tomorrow. A few days ago, she met that person who was born in the early stage and fashionable, but was defeated by her opponent. How can we defeat this Blood Demon Sect expert with significantly higher martial arts skills now? The Cihang Sword Classic. You are from Cihang Jingzhai. This time is good luck. Seeing Shifei wielding his sword, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up. He was first surprised, then even more excited. Since Shifei is a disciple of Cihang Jingzhai, she cannot simply and rudely suck blood. That would be too wasteful. If you can capture and bring back the Blood Demon Sect, prepare and interrogate them well, you will definitely receive sect rewards. By comparison, the latter option is undoubtedly more lucrative. Thinking to himself, the flower picker is not idle either. Like Chen Chongsheng, he also uses a knife. A middle-aged man's cultivation far surpasses that of Shifei. Although he is a latecomer, the blade has already arrived first. Carrying raging blood and energy, he took the initiative to face Shifei's colorful sky sword. A nauseating and bloody smell faintly emanated from the air, resounding. Swords and swords intersect. Shifei let out a muffled snort, leaned back, and flew straight out. Stumbling a few steps, Shifei stood firm in her figure. Her face first showed blood, then quickly turned pale, and her wrist, holding the sword, was trembling slightly. Needless to say, there was a brief confrontation just now. Under the huge gap in internal strength between the two sides, Shifei has already been injured in her lungs and meridians, suffering significant internal injuries. Come again. Shifei took a deep breath, temporarily suppressing the injury inside her body, and was about to raise her sword again. Not only did she not lose her fighting spirit, but she was also inspired by an indomitable fighting spirit. Miss Shi, you are not a match for this evil thief. With one arm horizontally blocking Shifei's bleeding mouth, Chen Chongsheng said in a deep voice. Let Chen handle this pervert instead. Outsiders see clearly, Chen Chongsheng can see clearly. The gap in strength between the two sides is too significant. This expert from the Blood Demon Sect actually saved a few points just now. If it weren't for his plan to capture Shifei alive, her injuries would only have been more severe. Shifei has already harbored the ambition to kill. Keep going, I'm afraid it will really disappear. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.